Hello, welcome to the Land of Kekiak. My name is Laurel. Let's talk a little bit about lesson planning. All right, so this week I've been trying to get ready for my oldest son's upcoming freshman year of high school. I'm just gonna have kind of a different approach to record keeping and lesson planning and things like that for him. Okay, what I have always done is just taken we get to what we get to. And I've been, well, at least lately, I shouldn't say always, but lately, last good chunk of time, I've just been recording what we get to. And then we have a kind of a general, plan, but we school pretty much year round. So we get to what we get to, and I just record it, right? I had a much more laid back approach. So in high school though, there are requirements for materials covered, and there's ideas on how much time should be put into them and stuff like that. It just kind of starts feeling more structured, and so I'm trying my hand at a different way of keeping my records, but I am planning ahead. And my son, he's older, he's getting more able to handle, getting things done on time and working on his own, without me being there and stuff like that. So I have been this week, I've just got all of my planning sheets. So I've got math to do, science, his German, foreign language. I'm still gonna do his PE. Okay, so those ones I still need to do. So what I've got done so far for him is his Lit and composition class, and this one was easier because not necessarily easier, but I had a suggested schedule within the Easy Peasy curriculum. So I was basically just combining everything, assigning things points and stuff like that. Let's see, it's just I don't really need this one, I won't be using that. And I've done that one. Oh, and I've done his elective for church history. So again, this one came within the curriculum was a suggested schedule. So this helped me to fill this out, right? So I'm scheduling out over the 180 required learning days. Give myself that much time to cover this material, which is worth a credit, right? These are worth a credit. Okay, so today, what I've been working on is planning for his American history for next year when I'm using Humanitas. So today I was going through my teacher guides and going through the textbooks. They're not really textbooks. I mean, they are, but they are all lessons based around primary sources. And then there's questions and discussions in there for you to do with them and stuff. So there is actually, I was looking here, I was like, there's actually no suggested schedule or grading guidance or anything like that to go along with it. So I thought it might be, in case you saw my last video on that, when I said I was choosing that, you might want to see how I decided to plan for it. All right, so first thing you'll need is some sort of planning sheets. I'll link the ones I used. I also used a ruler, a pencil, an eraser. So first thing, I just wanted to go through and I listed, or I marked out 180 lesson days, right? 100 days of school. And then I did do an extra line under the date so I could put the day of the week, just because I find that helps me during the year keep track, as I check his work weekly. So usually on a Saturday or something, I'm checking his work for the week. We usually have some time that we get together on Saturday and kind of go through everything together, just in case there's any questions I have for him. And I can give him feedback on things like that I need from him, or if he's missed something. So yeah, I think having the day of the week is helpful. I don't know exactly when our starting date is going to be. And these break things up into 5 days, 5-day weeks. So each page is 4 weeks. And what I just did is, since this course is broken into basically 4 quarters, and there's one of these books, one of these books per quarter. I found out where the quarter day was going to be. So that of course would be, at the 45, the first one would be at day 45, right? So that's going to be quarter one, the end. And I just made a note that's book 1, Indigenous Americans to the Colonies, and covers units 1 through 4. And I just listed what those units were, which I got from the book. So I was like, all right, so there are 24 lessons in book 1. So I just figured out how many lessons we needed to cover a week approximately, right? So there were 24 lessons. So I think pretty much everything was 3 days a week. There was 2 weeks that I did 2 lessons. So yeah, the first week I did just 2 lessons. I called Friday a flex day. Yeah, week 7 was only 2 lessons. No, and 9. So I went 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Oh, 2. Sorry, 2 is the last one. Okay, sorry. All right, so then I just had to ask myself, I'm like, okay, so now I've got for my quarter, for quarter 1. Now I've got my lessons distributed over the 9 weeks of quarter 1, and now I just need to ask myself, like, what do I want to do? What do I want the structure of the class to be, of the course to be? What is going to be graded work? Like, how am I going to get a grade out of this, right? So Humanitas does not have any quizzes or tests associated with it. It's just primary sources and discussion and writing questions, like response questions. In the teacher's guides, teacher's guides that go along with the books. Oh, and here's where I was like, right, book 1. It'll tell me unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, if you're wondering where I was getting that stuff, unit 4, and all the names of all of the, so this is lesson 21 in that book, and the name of the lesson. This gives you the basic introduction for your lesson plans. It tells you, you can read at the very beginning, there's objectives for that lesson, like why are they assigning this particular primary source to read. There's a symposium for you to read and to help you teach your kids. There's a warm-up, which is suggestions for preparing your student. There's little warm-up questions to kind of prime their mind to what they're gonna read. Then they can read, right? And then there's questions for discussion and writing. And then they have a conclusion. The conclusion provides an opportunity to wrap up a chapter, reminding students of the great idea of what they have just read and its significance as part of the larger narrative, while also whetting their appetite for subsequent source documents. There's also these teacher tips that they include. They include topics for debate, possible enrichment assignments, and cross-references to other important works. They do give a timeline in the book. This is going to be our what we're covering, what portion of history. So let's just look at, for this one, what is this? Book 1 of, this would be the second semester. Gives me my objectives, the symposium, which I probably just read to the kids. Then the warm-up. Then this is for after, questions for discussion and writing afterward. And then there's the conclusion too. And then these are all the teacher tips, right? So I was like, how am I gonna put this into daily, kind of break this down for my student? So what I'm thinking is, and I did everything in pencil in case I change my mind as the year goes, right? So we do lesson 1, let's say the first day of school, and that's called Indian Origins. And I've got gave myself a little box to check for a warm up, do the warm up with them. So I'm thinking this is going to be about 60 minutes on a normal day. And then there'll be some days I think are going to be about 90 minutes. I'll point out which ones I think those are. For lesson 1, that day we do warm up together. I'd read that symposium with him. We do some priming of his mind, whatever. And then I say, go ahead and read your document, your source document. And then I'm actually going to assign him a reading outline with each document that he reads. So these are letters. These are, I think, speeches. I think the Anti-Federalist Papers or stuff like that is in there. So these are real historical documents. Then the next day, right, and so I leave him there with that. Do your reading, do an outline based on your reading. I will link in the description box because I was trying to come up with an assignment that would help him as far as studying goes, And we do outlines in writing and rhetoric And since a lot of these are like, in essay form, or narrative form, the things that he'll be reading, for us, I was like, well, he already has some experience with outlining for writing. I actually think that outlining for reading, I remember doing this when I was in school, was like a really helpful way for me to study. I remember going through my textbooks and like taking outline notes of my chapters as just a way to study. And so that's basically what I'm gonna have him do. And I will link like an article for you if you kind of want to see what I'm talking about what I consider, outline notes. And it's kind of different. A lot of times when you search for outline, you'll come up with results for outlining for writing, like where you're outlining your ideas, right? And then you build out from there. This is like the opposite. This is reading something and then condensing it down to an outline, like looking for the main points, the supporting evidence, quotes and things that you find important, dates and things. So I'm looking for him to take, all right. And also I think it's important that he's getting to the age where he needs to learn, he needs to really know how to study. So we've done a lot of, tell it back, discussion, talking back and forth kind of things. He's moved in science, he's got reading comprehension questions, that he does for his science. So I'm stepping up this is high school now, we're stepping up his study game and what he does on his own. So he's going to read, right? He's going to do his own reading outline. The next day we will meet up. We will review his reading outline, and then I will follow the discussion and written response questions that they had in there. These ones, questions for discussion and writing. So I think we would talk through these, and the ones we'll just pick. I haven't totally picked out exactly. I don't know for 100% sure how I'm going to do this yet. I'll give you guys updates during the year how it goes. We'll do the discussion questions and then we'll pick something. I don't know if it's like 1 or 2 or 3, right? But I'm going to have him do some kind of writing response. I want at least a paragraph, right? And any of these would be really great carryover. I could have him write a whole essay on any of these. Would actually be really good essay prompts, which I thought about having him write a couple full-blown essays. But I don't know, because we're doing that in his composition, in his lit and composition already. So I don't know that I want to assign a whole full-blown essay. I guess I kind of want to see. I was thinking about having him do maybe an essay at the end of each semester as kind of his, final semester project or something. But I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot to cover. So I didn't know if I wanted to add extra stuff in. Oh, and then we'll go over the conclusion together as well. So anyways, this is my basic outline, right? For what it's kind of a skeleton. And then I'll be learning a lot on him because I always say he's my poor guinea pig child. So I'll be open to adjusting our basic plan, but this is my basic plan. My basic plan is, so then 5 points possible for doing his reading warm up and his outline, and then 5 points possible for discussion, participating discussion and his written response. And I'm probably I was trying to think how am I going to base this grade on it? And a lot of it's just going to be his grade will be for his reading outline. Is it titled? Is there a date on it? Did he follow the correct outline, the note-taking form? What was the quality of his note-taking? Maybe the 5th point is, were his notes legible, right? And I am going to require these to be handwritten. I mean, everything I hear is that handwritten, taking notes by hand leads to better retention and recall. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. So that's what I did for all 4. There would be the end of quarter 1, right? I'll take a snapshot, I'll take whatever his grade was there. So on the days where we would have 3 lessons that we needed to cover in 1 week, I'm going to go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're going to cover lessons. I'm going to have, spread these out over 2 days. And these are going to have required, writing assignments. This one I think will be more like a 90-minute class or work time. And so we have a little bit more time to meet with me, do his reading, do his outline. Then we meet up and discuss afterwards. And if we do writing, that's why I just wrote discuss. I don't know that I'll have him, we may not, it just kind of depends on what time is if we get to do if he does a whole writing response or not. So, and that'll be worth 10 points that day because we're kind of doing everything in one class. So this week was the only one, this is the first week of quarter 3, was the only week where I think I ever had 4 lessons in 1 week. And I just write flex day, right, on days that I don't have anything really like, nothing new to do, but let him catch up if he's behind on anything, or if he's caught up, then he just has it off for history that day. Yeah, and so this took me all the way through 180 days. So yeah, so what do we need to do? We need to know. I think it was helpful to number out my 180 days, whatever your required days of learning that you have. Break it into quarters was helpful, and then divide how many lessons per quarter and between the 9 weeks in a quarter, and plug them in as they made sense. So I don't believe that my state requires any like testing, like necessarily. Like I don't think I have to have quizzes or tests exactly. So his grades will be based off of his, his outlines and his writing responses. Writing responses are like a little quiz anyways. It's just, you don't get to like redo them or anything, right? And then you have to decide what kind of structure you want, about how much time you think it's going to take, how many points you want to assign for assignments. So yeah, this one took a little bit more thought than the other 2 I had, since they already had suggested schedules and I could just plug them in and just kind of make them more organized for myself. This took me like a little bit today to decide on what I wanted to do. So especially since there was just so little guidance. It was very open-ended. All right, well, I'm gonna get back to lesson planning some more subjects. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.